Hey, what's going on, everyone? Mike Sparacino, a.k.a. Shades here, alongside Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. Mulgoon, a.k.a. The Big Goon, bringing you Back Up Blue Shirts, episode number 24.
24, baby. Happy New Year, everybody. It's our first one of the new year. Only 2 weeks in, Mike. Not too bad.
Yep, improvement.
But who are we dedicating this one to, Mike?
I gotta tell you, man. I just have to go with Sandis Ozolic.
Wow.
Psych.
I was going to say, I don't know who that is. Does it say what year he played in?
06, 07.
Don't even remember him, dude. And I was watching then. Don't even remember.
Nah.
I'm going to go with Ryan Callahan. That's my boy right there.
Yeah, no, Ryan Callahan's the actual person we're dedicating this episode to.
Although I thought you were going to pick your boy Boo Nieves, considering you did get a picture with him last year or 2 years ago at the 5K race.
I did. That was good times.
But, Mike, well, we've had plenty of games start of the new year.
And one to end the decade.
Yeah, exactly.
In Edmonton.
And that was, we might as well talk about that for a second.
Let's just say we ended 2019 on both a horrible note and a good note.
Yeah.
The good note being the third period of that
Basically,
game.
Yeah. What did we score? Like
five goals.
5 goals in the third. And that's
to lose 6-5. That's just goes to show you how bad we were the first.
I feel like that game kind
of
of like sums up like 2019 for us. Like, well, this season at least so far, I feel like it's like can score a lot, but also give up a decent amount of goals. That game was like a perfect example of that, basically.
Yep. And do you remember whether or not McDavid was actually a big factor in that game? Because I don't remember him being.
No, I don't. I mean, he had a couple points I remember in the first and second, but it wasn't like he like dominated per se. But since then, I mean, well, continuing into the first games of 2020, Rangers ended up on that little Western Canada swing, and I'm assuming Edmonton's in Western Canada, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they continued.
Thank God that trip's over. I hate the late games.
Yeah. They had a little West Coast trip. They ended with Colorado. Or did we play that at the Garden? That was actually at the Garden, right?
The Colorado game was, in fact, at the Garden.
That was at the Garden, so I'm sorry. We ended that against our old teammate, JT Miller, in Vancouver, and we ended up losing
that game 2-1.
We basically lost. We won 1 of 3 games, so lost 2 out of 3.
Well, I mean, if you include the Toronto, we won, but that was...
that was... Well, I meant for the Western trip. But, just... The Vancouver game really could have went either way, I felt like. Basically, I thought Markstrom, I believe that's the goalie's name, right?
Yes.
On Vancouver. He just played an unbelievable third period. He's actually having a pretty good season from what I've heard. Or he's been playing very well recently, according to the last 6 games leading up to that game. He was like 6-0. He had great save percentage and everything. So I wasn't, just as his numbers indicated, he wasn't messing around. So Rangers faced him, couldn't score, and they ended up losing that one 2-1. JT Miller didn't score, surprisingly, although he did hit the post from what I remember.
Yeah.
But Mike, I missed the Colorado Avalanche game.
And you skipped the Calgary game.
Oh yeah, well it was.
That was before Vancouver.
Yeah, it was. That was on the 2nd of January. Yep.
Really, the Rangers were just all over the place that game.
Yeah,
that's the best way to explain that game.
I do remember that we did give up 2 goals basically in like 30 seconds in that game. Went down 2-0,
and then
we ended
2
up
minutes
on the power
later,
play, ended up tying the game, and gave up like terrible like breakaways that game too. That I do remember.
Well, that's what happens when you're.
Well, that was
bad.
the game. We had the 5-on-3. That was the second goal of the game. We had the 5-on-3. D'Angelo tried to do like a little bit too much, and he kind of like telegraphed the pass across, and I think it was Goudreau that read it and just right down the ice scored on the backhand. But
that's what happens when 1, stuff like that happens, and 2, you have pretty much 5 or 4 offensive D-men. I don't know why I said 5, but you have 4 offensive D-men who pinch all the time, get beat, and we give up a lot of odd man rushes in general. So
exactly.
That's what happens.
But leading up to, and was that actually the Colorado game? Because I wanted to bring up Shesterkin. Which game did he start? That was against the Devils, right?
That was against Colorado.
His first game, His first game was against Colorado, and then I remember he played against the Devils. So now that I'm thinking, I'm like, shit, did I actually watch the Colorado game? I actually think I did watch the Colorado game. I just literally don't remember anything about it.
I love how we just completely left out. Oh yeah, by the way, Igor got called up.
Yeah, so Igor,
I love how we just completely glossed over that.
you know, that's what happens when you don't record like right after. You got just like everybody knows now, you know, and you're just like, oh shit, everybody knows.
True.
But yeah. So Rangers recalled Shesterkin, and 2 games down, and this guy doesn't look like he's going to be too much of a disappointment. I mean, after that Devils game especially. But what did you think so far, Mike, from what you saw from him?
I've liked what I've seen. He looks in position most of the time. I mean, the game against Colorado, the 3 goals he gave up.
Now it's coming back to me.
The 3 goals he gave up were just, he had basically no chance on 2 of them. And the one chance he did have was a Nathan McKinnon breakaway. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's right.
I do remember that. That's a 50-50.
That's right. They had the first goal was that really crappy deflection in front.
Yeah, awful.
Right
leg.
after that, and then Fox tried to do a move without the puck and gave out the breakaway to McKinnon. Puck went right over his stick.
Yep.
I remember that now. Yep, it's all coming back. But
yeah, so Igor got welcomed to the league by a bullshit deflection and a Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, so
Nathan McKinnon breakaway.
So, and that was another game. Rangers went down 2-0.
Yeah.
So, definitely not. But I will say, though, I do remember about that Colorado game is that they actually did rally back as a team, which was nice to see. It was like, it looked like they were actually playing for something that game. It felt that way anyway. And even moving it on to the Devils game, I mean, we know the Devils aren't having the best season either. And unfortunately, we also didn't get a glimpse at Kakko versus Hughes.
Hughes is ducking us, man.
Yeah,
he's ducking us.
They haven't played each other yet, right?
No.
So
he's ducking us, man.
Yeah, so he was out with, I think he was out with injury, right? Or something?
He's ducking us.
Was he out with injury or
yep.
just okay, so yeah, he was out. So we didn't get to see that matchup, but shit, man, moving into that Devils game, and my God, dude, Tony D, baby, Tony DeAngelo.
The night of Tony DeAngelo's career, baby.
You know, it's hilarious because obviously Tony D had 5 points, ended up with a hat trick and 2 assists, obviously, but obviously everybody looks at that game like shit, Tony DeAngelo, but like, dude, Shesterkin had fucking like 46 saves that game, man. The Devils had 49 shots.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we gave up a lot of shots, but very few of them were actually high quality. So,
I mean, I think in the third period, like they had a lot of chances in front of the net. Like he made a lot of good saves on rebounds in front. Like he made it. It could have been possibly disaster. Anytime you give up almost 50 shots on goal, it could go either way. So that was like an unbelievable performance. But
yeah, I honestly, we really didn't play that bad to the point where, because 49 shots is usually a wow, but I really didn't think we played that bad.
No, absolutely not. I thought I think we definitely played a good amount of defense that game, surprisingly, minus the amount of shots we gave up. But like you said, there was definitely some high quality ones I thought in the third period, but other than that, I didn't think so. Yeah, I actually saw a crazy stat with after the game Tony D had, and I don't know if you caught this one in the Rick article, but this is him talking about the Rangers defensive core, and this was up to the Devils game, so obviously they've probably gotten a couple more points since then, but they slapped up 34 goals and 90 assists, and that was more goals and more points than any D-core in the league at game's end. So I thought that was a crazy stat.
I've been paying attention to that stat for a while.
Good point though is that also does include some goals from Smith, who technically plays forward, but I guess he's listed as defenseman. But
yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense. But he's only got 3 goals anyway, so it's not like he's doing much as a forward.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was
from
awesome.
A production standpoint.
And also another cool stat was the one with Tony DeAngelo, and he was the first defenseman since Brian Leach to have like 5 points in a game. Right?
Yeah, and the first defenseman to have a hat trick during a game since like
the
80s or something.
Yeah, that was also
even though I could be completely wrong on the decade right now, it was possibly in the 90s.
Well, that was the first regular season hat trick.
Yeah,
because Brian Leach actually scored some hat tricks, but they
were
during the playoffs exactly.
Yeah.
But even up to the Rangers are 45 games in now. That's including the game against the Islanders yesterday. And Tony D's got 11 goals and 25 assists for 36 points. I mean, we're going to talk about the game after that, which just another reason. It's another one of those games where you're like, inconsistent Rangers, you know?
Yeah,
And that was the St. Louis game.
And, of course, who's in net when they play a terrible game like that? Hank.
Has to be Hank. And like I said, like I think there was, looking at the game, they definitely gave up way too many high quality scoring chances against St. Louis. They were getting beat too many times. There was too many 2-on-1s.
Terrible puck management throughout the entire game.
That was probably one of, I thought, D'Angelo's worst defensive games of the season.
I mean, then nobody really played good defensively.
No, I know.
Either.
I
agree with you on that one.
Since we were talking about Tony D, I thought that we should bring that up. But
you're
I
right.
will say,
definitely
though,
right.
I felt this way the last couple games at least. You have to credit Brady Shea. I think since the New Year started, he's been better defensively. At least the last 5 games. To me, he's looked more solid.
Yeah, no, the last couple games in general, he's looked pretty good.
Even in the Devils game, he looked very good in that game too. I mean, followed up by that St. Louis game, by the whole team really didn't play well, and unfortunately, Lundqvist had to be the guy in net, and that's just another one of those games where everybody just gets pissed off at Lundqvist. But at the same time, man, it's like, what is he going to do?
Pay attention to the play of the team in front of him.
Sometimes, it seems that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, St. Louis is one of the best teams in the NHL. So, was I really actually shocked that we got kind of destroyed? Not really, but especially in St. Louis as well. So that was a intense.
Well, we're going up a legit cup contending team, so
yeah. I mean, just to bring Lundqvist back into the situation, like, could he have had maybe one or two of those 2 goals? Probably, but then I think back and I'm like, how about
even if he has 2 of those goals, they still lose.
Yeah, true. We didn't score. We lost that game 5-2.
Yep.
And it was 5-2 going to the third. But even Lundqvist, like, it's always been the case with him as well. Like, he might give up like 1 bad goal, but then that's always countered by like 5 unbelievable saves. And are you shocked? Because I mean, I'm not. I feel like it could have been a lot worse, I think.
I have a stat for you, even though you already know what the stat is because I texted it to you. But I have a stat already.
Yeah, now that we're talking about the goalies, this is definitely an interesting stat now that we're talking about Hank.
So out of the 3 goalies the Rangers have, which obviously Georgiev, Lundqvist, and Shesterkin, the leader in high danger save percentage is Hank. And he's got Georgiev beat by 4.95% in that respective aspect. But the thing is, medium danger save percentage, Georgiev's got Hank by 2.8%. And low danger, Georgiev has Hank by 0.27%. Yes. Math is still good from when I was young. Let's get it.
And also,
here's
the
thing,
keep in mind as well that Hank's played 25 games and Georgiev's played 21. So Hank has played 4 more games, and obviously Shesterkin's only played 2.
Yeah, and up until the last couple weeks, Hank's goal support compared to Georgiev's was awful. He legitimately was outside the top 30 in goal support for all goalies who've played games in the NHL this year.
Yeah.
Georgiev, at that particular point, when I checked it a couple weeks back, was 6th. But 2 guys in front of him had 6 games combined. So
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, though,
take that particular aspect with a grain of salt. But stats speak for themselves.
Analyzing statistics between Georgiev and Lundqvist, I mean, I have it pulled up right now. I mean, okay, goals against average. Let's look at goals against. You got Georgiev has a 3.11. Hank has a 3.18. So really not too much of a difference. Basically identical. Shesterkin has a 3.01.
Like, that's literally
I'm not
1 or 2 goals over the course of the season.
Stats in terms of, because he's only played 2 games, so I'm just talking about Georgiev and Lundqvist right now. But and save percentage, you got .911 for Georgiev and a .907 for Lundqvist. So again, not much of a difference there.
It's .911 for Georgiev.
Yeah, .911 and .907 for Hank. And Hank's played more games, play 4.
Yeah,
So-
and you do have to take that into context, though. You got to take that the high danger save percentage and all that stuff into I don't even know the word I'm looking for. I forgot I can't think right now.
Well, now I'm thinking, like, how many games have we played so far in the season? Because is that adding up?
This is gonna piss me off that I can't think of the word right now. This have a college degree, people still can't think, right?
But
Oh, I got one more stat for you. Goals saved above average. Georgiev actually leads Hank 1.33 to 1.07.
yeah. I mean, this is how I feel about the whole goalie situation, just with Georgiev and Hank. I mean, you got Georgiev and Lundqvist in terms of numbers have been basically identical. I mean, at one point in time, I think Georgiev was playing better goalie than him. But over the last stretch, I mean, last night he played great against the Islanders, no doubt about that. But I also thought that the Rangers' defense showed up for him.
That is true, and so did the offense.
And I still think in this case, regardless of whether you look at the 3 goalies, including Shesterkin in this one, I think that when the Rangers' defense plays good, all 3 of these goalies can get the team's wins. But when the defense is terrible, it doesn't actually quite matter who the hell's in the net.
Exactly.
Because when you're giving up high-quality scoring chances from 3 feet in the net to some of the best players in the NHL, they're not going to miss.
I mean,
So,
look at
it doesn't make the goalie debate any easier, but it's definitely something to look at moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, look at other Vezina winners like Quick and Price. Once their teams went to shit defensively, their stats fell off a cliff.
But to credit Shesterkin, though, one thing he definitely has over Hank and Georgiev is
Puck handling.
his puck handling is incredible. That we
Dude,
did
his
see.
his debut against Colorado, like 2 minutes into the game, he comes out of the net, just launches a saucer pass
Yeah,
to
directly
center
to the
ice,
other blue line.
tape
Yeah,
to
it's
tape.
crazy.
I was just
Takako.
like, holy
Yeah,
crap!
Takako on the left wing. That was
I
a
can
sick
get
pass.
I can get used to that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that. I mean, listen.
I
mean,
can
there's
get
no,
used to
There's no
that.
doubt about moving forward. Who's going to be the goalie of the future? I mean, it's going to be Shesterkin, definitely. And so far, 2 games in, I mean, I can't wait to see him play more.
Same.
But he's definitely lived up to this hype, especially with his numbers and everything.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought he played better against Colorado than against Jersey.
Yeah, well, and another thing was it was his first NHL game. And he goes down 2 goals first 5 minutes of the game just to keep that composure alone.
And like I said before, 2 of those 3 goals, he had no chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
But even to his defense, I mean, the Rangers did end up scoring a lot.
Yeah. And no,
So-
once they gave up the 2 goals, they started playing a lot better.
Now that's 2 games with Shesterkin in that not only have the Rangers played better defense, but they've also maintained a high level of scoring for him. So listen, if the Rangers are going to play like that every time Shesterkin's in net, then fuck it, let's get the kid in there.
Small sample size, but
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, right now, I mean, I don't know if you consider him backup technically, because I guess there's only 2 goalies, well, 1 goalie sitting on the bench per game. But what in that time frame, like what actually happens is he doesn't go to Hartford, right? Like, does he just travel with the team or?
Well, if he doesn't get sent down, yeah.
Okay, so that would make sense then.
I mean, they could send him down to Hartford to get games, which, I mean, I would have no problem with that. Rangers Twitter would probably explode, but
Yeah.
if you're giving the kid playing time because he's not going to get much, I mean, that's the right thing to do.
Well, what do you think in terms of moving forward, maybe even by the end of the year? I mean, I'm assuming the Rangers are going to make some sort of decision by probably the trade deadline, what's moving forward with these goalies.
Well, I know for a fact they were listening to offers on Georgiev. That's not
yeah, I did see that as well.
earth-shattering news.
Yeah, I did see that. That's definitely... I mean, there's plenty of teams that could use Georgiev in the lineup, whether it be in a backup spot or maybe even if there's somebody's goalie goes down. Things could change from here to the trade deadline real easy. But even teams, maybe even a team like Toronto makes a lot of sense. They don't really have a backup goalie right now. They haven't won many games.
Well, at least since Babcock got fired, their backups are actually starting to win games.
Yeah, true. Well, that's what I was going to say. I know at the beginning of the season, for a while there, they didn't even win a freaking game without Anderson in net. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked to see a team like them make a move for him or moving forward. But we'll see. You never know who's going to make a trade offer and who's willing to give up the most for Georgiev. But
Yeah, I'm actually going to come back to this
I mean, do you think it's
later in the episode.
Do you really think? Do you want to just talk about it now, or we're talking
No,
about it?
come back.
Okay.
Let's come
Okay.
back to it.
All right,
'Cause
so-
we want to talk about the absolute hammering of the Islanders last night. And, oh, man, that was just
And Mike, and
nice to see.
If I'm not mistaken here, I believe that in games that we both go to,
when
not
we're
only-
not together. Games that we go to not together.
we sit just by chance. That's 2 games, the Buffalo game and last night, that not only did me and Shades not even plan on going to the game at the same time, but by chance we're literally sitting one section over from each other both games. And the Rangers, didn't the Rangers put up like 6 that game against Buffalo?
Yeah.
So the Rangers like goals 4 while we're at the game is like basically a 6 right now. So like I'm saying, if you guys want to chip into that GoFundMe account for season tickets for me and Shades, baby, I'm all in.
Yeah, you just let us know. We'll set it up.
But yeah, Mike, geez,
But
I mean, let's be
Now,
honest
out of all
here.
the positives to take out of the game last night, is it like I got to put a negative in here for good reason? Is it just me, or are you noticing a trend where at the absolute beginning, or the very beginning of games, I should say, we just start out horribly and then
Yeah.
immediately improve?
It's like we have to give up the lead in order to like light the fire or something. Yeah, I don't know if it's we're coming out flat-footed. Even last night we gave up a goal about 14 seconds into that Islanders game.
somewhere around 18 to 20 seconds.
That was not an ideal way to start. And even moving past that 18 seconds in the first probably like 3 minutes of the game, I mean, the Islanders basically just walked all over us. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, boy.
Well, but we were shooting ourselves in the foot with sloppy puck management
Yeah.
first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, to give up a goal 13 seconds in the game is just ridiculous. But, hey, listen, and you got to give it up. I mean, one of the last episodes we talked about Michael Haley. He was on the waivers, and then next thing you know, nobody claimed him, so Rangers didn't really have anybody to fill that roster spot. Michael Haley ends up still on the Rangers. He's been playing on them ever since basically like a couple of days after they put him on waivers, and he steps up big last night. I mean, that was a ballsy move, Mike. You got to give him credit. I mean, Johnston's a goon, dude. Like he can throw the hands, so for him to step up right there, and I think the Rangers actually needed that. It got the crowd fired up immediately. I know I was fired up. Everybody got fired up because it's freaking Rangers Islanders Garden. You want to see a fight. And then on top of it, probably the most underlooked play of the entire game, unknowingly by both of them.
Brendan
Smith
fighting Matt Martin.
Exactly. Next face off, they drop the gloves. Smith and Martin go at it. Classic.
And then
awesome.
Little did anybody know, Smith and Martin definitely did not know about this. But if there are 2 separate fights occurring at totally different times, not at the same time, during the same stoppage, though the second fight, the players who were involved get thrown out of the game for game misconduct. I did not know that was a rule for last night.
I don't think anybody actually knew that was a rule last night. But listen, if somebody did and that was all part of the plan, I think it was a great
kudos
idea
to Brendan Smith.
Because listen,
even if it wasn't his idea, kudos to Brendan Smith.
I know
for going
that
through
right
with it.
now the Islanders' fourth line's kind of suffering right now with Clutterbuck. He had that injury against Boston where I think he got hit with the puck, or he got something happened where he got hurt. Like either he got sliced with the skate or he got hit with the puck or something like that. But he's been out, and I think he might be out. So the Islanders' fourth line, you say it, you're like Clutterbuck, like. He actually is a pretty big part of that fourth line, and to not have Martin, he obviously wasn't playing.
Yeah, with Clutterbuck out, Johnson in the Johnston, in the penalty box, and Martin out of the game. I mean, that's just advantage for the Rangers.
Yeah, so the Islanders definitely weren't playing a very physical game last night, and in all honesty, I mean, that definitely works in the Rangers' favor too, because you know what? Then that creates more space for guys like Panarin. Not that you ever see Panarin get hit, just because I don't think people can actually even touch him. But even for guys like Hedel and stuff too, it's definitely better for them. It was better for the whole team. So, and the Rangers made the most of it, man. We went to town
after the first 18 seconds.
Yeah, but even that first period, I mean, we went out of there 1-1, right? I mean, and as funny as it is.
Yeah, 1-1.
A lot of Islanders fans might say, like, oh, my God, like, what a terrible game at the end of the day by Varlamov. But dude, he was sick in that first period. Rangers had about like 16, 17 shots. They outshot the Islanders by like 8, I think, that period. Islanders came
17-7.
17-7. Yeah, I know the Islanders came on pretty late in that period, though. I was getting a little worried, but yeah, dude, we ended up escaping that period 1-1, and then started the second, man.
Yeah, actually, I just realized this. Islanders outshot the Rangers 16-8 in the second.
Yeah, I was going to say, they definitely stepped it up in that second, too, but they didn't, like, there was a lot of, like, passes to the slot. I noticed that the Rangers were defending decently well. Like, the Islanders were still getting those shots off from the middle, but there seemed to be one thing I picked up on watching the game was, I don't know if there was like a little problem with the ice last night, but I don't know if you noticed, but damn, bro, the puck was like hopping around a lot last night. I noticed that. It must have been tricky, like, for the goalies especially, dude. Like, just even shots coming off the rebound. Like, there was that one, like, Brassard had in front. Like, probably should have buried it, but, like, dude, it was just bouncing so much. I just felt like the puck was bouncing. Even on the Rangers' first goal, like, it was just simple. Like, shoot the puck on net, and, you know, like, good things are going to happen. So, hopefully that's the Rangers' mindset moving forward and the rest of the year. But just even Fox's goal, dude, just shoot the freaking puck on net from any angle, dude. He bounces it right in off the back of Varlamov. So I thought that they played like a more simplified game against the Islanders, because the Islanders, as you know, this season are a really good dump and chase team. And considering the Rangers don't break out of the zone that well, I thought we actually managed the puck decently well last night.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I mean there we had a couple very long shifts in their zone.
But even with Panarin last night, I mean, obviously he ends up with 2 goals and 3 assists, but even some of those assists, dude, he just shoots the puck on net, and that's it.
Yeah, dude,
It's just simple,
you got to
bro.
create chaos sometimes.
It's just simple. Like that goal, I believe was the 3rd goal where he just turns around, shot it at the point, and Kreider deflects it in front. It was either the 3rd or 4th goal, but that right there, you gotta love to see that. Kreider's been playing great.
That was the second goal.
Was it the second goal?
Yep.
Oh, I thought. Oh, okay. No, you're right. Fox's goal.
Our second goal, third goal of the game, but yeah.
Fox's goal was the 3rd goal then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Panarin ends up with 2 goals, 3 assists last night at the end, all said and done.
And I just found it fitting that it was against a New York team at the Garden, because of course he killed us when he was on Columbus.
Oh yeah, he's the
and
Garden
Chicago,
killer, man.
And now he plays the Islanders in a Ranger sweater. He goes off for 5 points. So you gotta love it.
You
gotta love it.
I wasn't even shocked. Although I did want to see. I'm not gonna lie. I did want to see Ryan Strome go off last night against the Islanders too, considering they drafted him like 5th overall. But he didn't. He wasn't really to a shock for me, because usually when Panarin's going off, usually Strome is also going off at the same time. But I thought last night Panarin basically carried the entire team. I mean, but Mike, what a season this guy's having, man.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. I mean, 45 games played. He's got 26 goals, 41 assists for 67 points. That's 3rd in the NHL behind Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. McDavid has 71, Draisaitl has 70.
Oh, also Panarin leads. I'm pretty sure Panarin leads the entire league in even strength points.
That would probably sound about right, because I mean he's blowing everybody out basically on the Rangers besides Jesper Fast in plus minus. Not that
he leads the NHL in even strength points with 52.
Yeah.
The second place player, which is Nathan MacKinnon, 42.
Yeah.
So he's a lot more valuable than people are realizing.
And that also just shows me Rangers power play is terrible.
Well, I mean, when hasn't it been?
True. But 67 points, Mike. I mean, you got to imagine he's got a plus 23, plus minus. Power play points, 15. I mean, he's been an absolute beast. I mean, that's basically the only way to describe Panarin this season. I mean, he's got to be on pace for over 100 points, right? Do the math.
Oh, yeah.
So
easily.
So he's got to be on pace for almost, like 120, I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get that many, but he's probably should get over 100. And it seriously might go down.
He's got a realistic chance to get 110.
It might go down as one of the best seasons in Rangers all-time history, seriously, behind Yager. But But
I mean, Panarin's definitely making a case for himself to break the record
Yeah.
for points.
yeah, what is the points record anyway?
I think it's around 110.
Yeah,
I think.
that sounds about right.
Don't quote me on
But-
that.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable game by him. What did you want to add about that Islanders game? Anything you noticed in particular that you want to point out, or
Our compete level.
you
I
thought
mean-
it was there?
Yeah, because it wasn't there against St. Louis. The puck management outside of the first couple minutes was honestly pretty damn good the rest of the game. Brady Shea has been coming along lately. He's been playing really well. I thought he played good again last night, but just to joke about Shea for a sec, it was against the Devils. I remember thinking specifically, man, Shea's having a good game. At the very end of that thought, turnover by Brady Shea. So
Yeah.
that was kind of funny. But I also liked the diaper line from last night. Hedel, Kakko, and Howden.
Yeah.
I thought they were playing pretty well.
I mean, in terms of even the games that so far we've seen, I mean, Hedel's been, to me, one of our best offensive players.
He's definitely taken a step from
He has
last year.
absolutely no fear in carrying the puck. And I'm hoping that Kakko could come into that role a little bit more, too. Like, just having...
Honestly, he looked pretty good last night.
See, last night my only problem with Kakko was that he was just trying to do too much. Like, even on that 3-on-1, like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you
That-
basically just stick-handed yourself, didn't even get a shot off in a 3-on-1. I think he needs to just play simpler. Like,
he should have just shot
listen,
it there.
man, like, I know you have great hands. I mean, we've seen what you could do with the puck, but at the same time, dude, you got to shoot the puck, too.
Dude, even if you just shoot to create a rebound, I mean,
Exactly.
you're going to cause chaos.
I think he
Which
did
is, that's what happened a couple times last
yeah.
night.
I think he's just a little bit too hesitant right now in doing certain things. I think he's overthinking it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense. He's a rookie in New York, second overall pick. There's so much expectations from you.
Yep.
But I think that he just needs to. It sounds like such a cliche thing to do, but just simplifying it a little bit, man. Just shooting it when you have the open shot, not overpassing, not over stick handling. I think you'll find so much more results from him. And I think moving into next year, you'll start to see more goals like Hedel scores from him. Because Hedel there is a lot of plays where he carries the puck and he does great moves and just snipes it, So, I don't know how you feel about that assessment, but you agree with me?
Well, I mean, Hedel, he's the more agile player,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I think Kakko is going to be the better goal scorer long term, but I think playmaking-wise, Hedel is going to be better.
Yeah. I just like what I like from Hedel, and that's what I want to see from Kakko, I think. I just want to see him be a little bit more confident in carrying that puck in the zone from center ice and stuff. You don't really see that too much from him, I think. No. I mean, you definitely see that from Hedel, because once he gets that puck, he's fucking out. So...
Oh, and the funniest thing last night, Greg McKegg at one point thought he was Connor McDavid. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
He tried to do an insane move and just lost it, and I
think he was trying to
got a good laugh out of that one.
Varlamov out by going, faking like he was going to go behind the net and then tuck it in, but
and he just completely lost the puck.
That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, even though that kind of made me mad, then I realized, okay, Greg McDavid over here.
Greg McDavid doesn't even sound right.
Well, what did you want me to go with?
You have to compliment
Connor
Greg McKegg because, in all seriousness, though, there's a lot of plays during the game where I'm still mind blown of how good of a skater Greg McKegg is. You ever notice on a dump and chase, dude? Greg McKegg flies down the ice, dude.
I mean, I call him the tank for a
dude,
reason.
He can skate at an incredible speed. I'm still, every time I see it, like I said, I'm still kind of mind blown occasionally that how fast of a skater he is. I mean, obviously you see so much speed from Kreider out there, and look at some highlights from last night. You'll see what Kreider could do with skating. But oh my God, yeah, that was just too funny. But also one thing I want to talk about with the compete level, and this is one thing I always like from Trouba so far this season too, is that I just feel like he always plays with that grit. He doesn't take shit from anybody. And that's another one of the reasons why Tony DeAngelo has been so good this year too, and he's so likable by all the fans, is that he doesn't take shit from anybody. And even last night, just a prime example with that Zibanejad hit, he basically got hit by, I think it was Lee and Johnson at the same time, right? They basically bodied him at the same time. I didn't
Yeah.
think I didn't honestly think that the hit was dirty at all.
I didn't think it was dirty at all either.
But D'Angelo was just like, fuck this. Him and Kreider go right at them, and D'Angelo ends up getting into a fight with Johnston, which I was just like, what are you doing, dude? You're insane. And not for nothing, he actually got a couple good shots.
Yeah, that's why he's a savage, man.
And that was actually probably one of my most favorite parts of the entire night. Rangers are up 6-2 at that point, and D'Angelo gets, because it was under 5 minutes, so they just threw him out, of the game. Did they get a 10-minute misconduct too? They may have. Anyway, but D'Angelo skates off the ice. He's like mouthing off to the Islanders, and then he gets off, and the crowd's just cheering him on. That was just awesome. Could have been a better way to end the game.
Oh, and also two more things about the game last night. One, Rangers fans just took it to Islanders fans at one point, chanting yes. Just please, for the love of God, don't steal your goal chance from a freaking WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
And two, there was an Islanders fan about, I want to say 10 rows back from me. Might have been less than that, but he was just standing up in the middle of the play, turning around, just doing stuff. I'm like, bro, you're getting yourself thrown out right now for nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like, I didn't even care that he was an Islanders fan. I was just like, bro, I don't care
that's classic
that you're an Islanders fan. Just sit the fuck down and don't bother anyone.
It was hilarious because then the Rangers fans are chanting asshole, and then
they
eventually
needed
the security
like 8
guard
security guards to get one guy out.
Yeah, that was a little excessive. I thought that was pretty funny, but they were like shining the light at him to sit down. He didn't sit down, so he gets taken out by security. But it always reminds me of that time, Shades, back in, I think it was like probably like honestly like 2004, maybe 2005. I used to go to a lot of games sitting up in like the blue seats in like section like 400, and oh my god, dude, I'll never forget. I sat about like 3 or 4 rows back from the first row, and back at that old garden there was a crazy balcony. I don't know if you remember seeing it, but there used to be a balcony up in those 400 sections. It might still be there too, but anyway, there used to be a huge balcony, and it was, I don't even remember like what was going on during the game, but anyway, a couple of drunk fans, Islanders and Rangers fans. I think they came to the game with somebody else too, which was like hilarious. They end up getting into a fist fight, dude, in the first row of the seats. And
oh boy,
it was a steep way down, dude. Let me tell you, like from the section 400, dude. So these guys are like going crazy, man. Like, and keep in mind, I'm only about like, if it was like, I was probably about 8 maybe at the time.
Oh god,
if it was in 04, yeah, right. Yeah, I was 8 years old, and I'm sitting there. My dad ran to the bathroom on top of it too, so I'm sitting in the seats. I'm sitting in the seats alone while my dad gets back, or that he ran out to grab a beer like at the top of the section.
Yeah.
And these guys are brawling. So now both of the guys are leaning over the railing, dude, of section 400. I'm like, dude, oh my god. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, yo, these guys are gonna fall off. I remember thinking. So eventually, then like the guy like brings them back. So now they're just like fist fighting it out, like in the first row. All of a sudden, dude, I see like a shadow come over me. There's like 4 Rangers fans like jumped from like 3 rows ahead, like behind me, and just went to town on this guy.
Oh my god,
it was insane, dude. I remember like some guy I didn't even know, bro, just picked me right up out of the seat and put me like right in the aisle. My dad just got back in time, and I told him what happened. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, that's classic. I'll never forget that story, dude.
That's great.
That was like one of the most crazy things I've ever seen at a hockey game before. Like I've never seen a fist fight like to that capacity with guys like leaning over the railing. It was insane, dude. I was like, dude, somebody's gonna fall off the freaking top of Madison Square Garden balcony right now. It was insane.
God.
But that's
crazy.
That's classic.
That's
I love
crazy.
that. So that's always one of my favorite Rangers Islanders memories. I have to share that for the podcast. I thought that was great.
Wow. God damn. Big Marty coming back right in time.
Yeah, classic. It was awesome. But anyway, Mike, let's talk about what we were going to talk about before with the goalie situation, which I think is
I still
fair.
got a couple things I want to bring up.
Bring it up, please.
One, we completely left out the Brendan Lemieux injury.
Yes, I was going to bring up, that was also part of the reason last night that We didn't see probably like Matt Martin and Lemieux fight because Lemieux wasn't there to actually fight anybody last night because he's been hurt.
Yep.
Which, at this point in time, he'll probably be back in a couple weeks. I think
Now,
it was
just
like 6 weeks.
The one question I have, when he gets back, who is he playing with?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's really the main thing, because if you put him on the fourth line, I mean,
I don't
that's
see
just
him.
unfair to him. But with
In
the
all
way,
honesty, I think that he'll probably, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like he'll probably end up playing with like Hedel again.
see, I don't know. I don't know if I'd break up that line right now, the diaper line.
You think
And you can't really break up Panarin's line. And
True.
Kreider and Zibanejad are playing really well right now. And Booch, even though he's suffering
Now,
from a
now
major
just-
lack of production because he's snake-bitten as all hell, is actually playing pretty well.
Have
So the
I-
only way he fits back, in my opinion,
Am I
is
wrong,
on the
but-
fourth line.
Has Howden been playing center or has he been playing wing?
Pretty sure he's been playing wing.
So now, ever since that adjustment,
He's been playing
I
a
feel
lot
like he's
better.
been playing way better.
A lot better.
And it makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, you have to be. People don't realize how hard of a position center is because you are expected to play an insanely two-way game, and you have to be that first guy back for the defense as well.
Yeah.
And you're covering defensemen, and you're also playing defense in front of the net at center too. So it's definitely a tough position, other than also taking faceoffs. So there's a lot that requires you to do at center. And just maybe Howden wasn't meant to do all those things, dude. Like, and if he plays better at winger, then so be it, dude. Like, I mean, I've noticed an improvement from Howden, 100%. Maybe that's Anderson's problem as well, though, you know?
I mean, it's could be, but at the same time, he didn't. I don't know. He looked a lot better in preseason.
True. But I think, like, you know, you got to realize, too, like, center is
A very hard position.
It's obviously it's hard, but also there's a lot of guys that play center that are also massive as well. So
Okay, well, also Anderson didn't really have anyone to play with.
that is as well. That's true as well. But I would have liked to see him even try to play wing just to see if there is some sort of adjustment.
And actually, speaking of Anderson, we can talk about another injury right here. He has a foot injury where he can't get his feet into the skates, apparently.
Yeah. There's so much about Anderson. Like, there's just so much out there with him. It's like I'm almost taking everything I read about the situation with like a grain of salt because you don't know like what actually is going on.
Yeah.
But supposedly that was said in an interview that he did. Was it with somebody from in Sweden or something like that?
It was just, an interview in Sweden.
So I don't know what's up with that. I think that was the first time anybody's heard about that specific injury with the foot.
And are you also referring to when he said there were multiple incidents that disturbed him?
Oh, okay.
Because that caught me by surprise.
You're talking about like mentally.
Yeah.
So that, I mean,
That caught me by surprise. Because it didn't really look like anything was out of the ordinary other than him being stuck on a fourth line.
Okay. So now there's also talk about possibly like possible internal bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
here's
mean,
the thing. Like, I didn't sense any of that when he was here. And it's just like, what the hell happened?
yeah, it's definitely a wacky situation for sure.
Yeah, but see, I'm like, the main words that I took away from that article are, well, the main word really was incidents. And I'm like,
More than one.
yeah, but it's just, but like nobody else talked about that. Everyone else like went off on a different part of the quote. And I'm just like, you guys should be focusing on the incidents part. Like, what the fuck happened? And nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
That kind of pissed me off a little bit.
So you think there's some truth to it, or
Maybe.
you think that's why they're
But
not
then again,
commenting on it?
I'm not in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
But that could also be a reason. But at the same time, you can't really focus on that right now when you're in the middle of a season. You can't focus on a guy who's not on the team.
Yeah,
So
it's true. Especially with the Rangers,
you
know, still
it's give and take.
still possibly with the chance of them still possibly making the playoffs, which Quinn stated on multiple occasions that that's obviously the goal of the team, not just his goal, but also the team's goal. Like, everybody still believes in that. So I guess at this point, like, I don't want to say they're viewing them as like a distraction, but at this point, I understand what you're saying. Like, it's probably best off for them to focus on what's going on now and worry about what Anderson is doing
Yeah,
and
worry
probably in the
about that
off
later.
season, especially because you know what, like if he has an injury and it's serious, let him heal then.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in rushing him back in. You know, like that's at least my viewpoint on it anyway. But
Yeah.
like I said,
No,
it's
dude, if a player's
there's so much
injured,
out there
like-
right now. It's just like you don't know what's actually true.
And
So
what's not, yeah.
I don't want to say stuff and it's not even true. You know what I mean? So it's definitely one of those things where it seems like it's very internal right now, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that at some point we get some sort of insight to what's actually going on.
Yeah, and
So,
I just want that situation to be resolved.
yeah.
That's it. And keeping on the injury front, sort of, Libor Hayek came back against, unfortunately, the Blues, where the entire team played terrible, and he has now been sent down to Hartford for a conditioning stint, which was honestly the original plan, but he was basically forced to play the St. Louis game because Stahl couldn't go.
Yeah.
And wasn't Lindgren also out that game?
Yes.
He was,
No, actually, Lindgren was
or
not.
did he leave early again?
Well, Lindgren was not out of the. You're talking about the St. Louis game.
Yeah.
I am thinking, was Lindgren? No, I don't think Lindgren was out that game because he never ended up getting suspended for the hit that he had thrown.
Oh no,
on
he
Donskoy.
was in that game. I think he left early again though.
Yeah, that's very possible. Because I mean, he also, which we forgot to mention with the Colorado game, Lindgren had thrown a massive hit on Donskoy.
Oh, he laid the boom.
So he actually ended up getting a hearing for that. Personally, I didn't really think it was worthy of a hearing considering Donskoy skated down the freaking center of the ice up the boards with his head down while carrying the puck.
Oh yeah, and we also forgot he got jumped by Kadri, and the refs actually called an instigator penalty for once, to my surprise. And I was very happy.
That was nice.
I
That
was
was
very
actually
happy.
very nice.
So apparently that rule still exists.
So Lindgren, he didn't end up getting hit with that suspension, which was nice, but
I didn't think it should have gone to a hearing anyway with
yeah.
other things that have been let go.
I didn't think that was worthy of a hearing too. But it's nice to see Lindgren actually throw some body. He definitely lays down some boom.
And that's
He has good potential.
very refreshing to say.
I will say that is one thing so far that we've seen that Rick has said on the podcast when he was with us was if I'm quoting him correctly, I believe he said he thought Lindgren was going to be one of our best defensive prospects. And so far
I mean, he's certainly playing like it.
yeah, he definitely is a good defensive defenseman. I think he might be one of the most defensive defensemen we actually have on the team.
Yeah.
That's strictly defense. But, inconsistency, so, we'll see
That goes for the
what's
whole
going
team.
on. Hopefully we can basically repeat that same performance we had against the Islanders minus the beginning of the game
That
on
would
Thursday.
be nice. That
We're
would be
playing
nice.
them 3 out of 4 games,
Which is stupid.
which is a little bit insane. But, hey, listen, if the Rangers can win all 3 of those games, that's great. That's bragging rights for Rangers fans over the Islanders.
For once.
So,
They've been kicking our ass the
Yeah,
last few years.
that's
but
true.
We need one good season against them.
Gorgiev has been good against them, though, too. Maybe he's like the cheat code.
Maybe. Never know.
So, you think Gorgiev's going to get the start again on Thursday? Or you think they're going to start Shesterkin or Hank?
I honestly don't know. Somebody brought up on Twitter, which I thought was pretty funny, the Rangers should start all 3 goalies against in each game, and I'm just like, I'm not going to disagree with this, but I'm not going to fully agree with it either, but it would be pretty entertaining if that happened.
In all honesty, what they should do is they should make a video on Twitter and they should make like a bracket, and they should play heads or tails, best of 5 bracket tournament
Oh, God.
to see who. Well, I guess you would need 4 people for bracket, but we'll have to decide who gets that alt. You know what? Actually, since Gorgiev won the last game, Gorgiev will advance to the finals round automatically, and Shesterkin and Hank get to do a coin toss to play Gorgiev in the final of the coin toss. Best of 5, both series. Whoever wins the best of 5 at the end plays on Thursday.
Oh, God.
Imagine that. That would be insane.
That'd be great.
That'd be
All
absolutely
right, well, now that we're back on Georgiev, let's talk about 1, his trade value, 2, where he could realistically get traded, and 3, when it could happen or will happen.
Well, before we even talk about Gorgiev for a second here, I just want to talk about Lundqvist for a second because, You honestly think that there's a chance the Rangers trade Lundqvist this season?
He's got a full no move clause.
I don't.
He's not waiving it.
I don't think Hank is going to move. I mean, you hear a lot of fans say like he should because then he can play somewhere else as a backup. But at this
Nobody's
point,
going to take his contract on.
especially that. But also at the same time, like Hank's a Ranger, dude. I can't see it. I would be really shocked if it happened. So seeing those rumors, I'm kind of like, you know, I don't know, man. Like I don't see it happening, and I'd rather. I don't know. I don't know if I'd. Not that I want to see Georgiev go, and I think long term it would make sense for the Rangers to trade Lundqvist, but I just don't see it happening. You know,
I can't see him waiving his no trade clause.
that's what I'm saying. I just
literally that's my main gripe.
listen. Like Hank has a legacy in New York. Like he's gonna make the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's gonna make the Rangers retirement numbers,
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
But you know, you think from his standpoint that this is how he would want to end his legacy? Like, no, I just don't see it happening. And from that standpoint, I don't think he's gonna waive the no trade.
I mean, literally the biggest positive if he is willing to accept the trade, that would immediately open up at least $4.25 million in cap space. Because realistically, if they do trade him, they will have to hold back 50% of his cap hit.
Yeah, so they will save. That's a good point. That would be another maybe an incentive.
But at the
But like I said,
same time, his Hank's trade values, he's 37. Nobody's trading for a 37-year-old goalie to be a starter.
The only way that does make sense, the only thing is that you got to admit, I mean, Hank obviously takes his game to another level when it comes to the playoffs, so that's the only reason I could see Hank ever going to a team. Somebody's goalie goes down and they need somebody that's going to be elite. I still think Hank could be elite, especially in the playoffs, so that's another scenario that is possible. But like I said, I mean, let's talk about Georgiev now. I think in the fans' eyes, I think you got a lot of viewpoints where Georgiev might be the one that ends up getting traded. And, you know, that it's kind of unfortunate, but I think Shesterkin is obviously the future for the Rangers. I mean, with the way he's played in the KHL and the AHL and those 2 games so far in the NHL.
Yeah, and you got to remember...
Seems like he's going to be an elite goalie.
And you got to remember, Georgiev's save percentage in the AHL was nothing special at all.
Yeah, I mean, not to criticize Georgiev because he's been solid when he needs to be solid, I think. I just think that there's a better chance of them probably trading Georgiev. Like, I think more teams would be seeking somebody of his caliber, a guy that needs a little bit improvement. But for a guy that's only 22 or 20, what is he, 23?
22 or 23.
So
one of those.
It would make sense. I mean, in terms of a return, I'm not sure what the Rangers could pull for Georgiev.
See, half of, on that particular front, half of me is saying if Martin Jones got traded for a first plus, Georgiev can too. And the other half of me is saying if we didn't get a first for Talbot or Ronta, we're not getting one for Georgiev.
True. The only thing to talk about Martin
I'm torn
Jones
between those two.
Is that, let's not forget, though, Martin Jones did go to the Cup with the Sharks. And he did have some games in the playoffs that were pretty sick. But still.
But
I know
ever since then.
I know what you're saying. But still. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm torn in half between those two.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously, we know out of the 3 goalies, the goalie that's safe is Shesterkin. There's no doubt. There's no denying that. I think 100% of Rangers fans would agree. I think there's always going to be disagreement if the Rangers trade Georgiev down the line. But I mean, at this point, as a fan, dude, what you've seen, what they've been able to do with the goalies that they've had over the last couple of years, like, are you honestly worried about the goalie pipeline? Just moving
not
forward.
For us. No.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this is the thing as fans, like, not to say we need to get rid of Georgiev, but I'm not worried as a fan because the Rangers goalie pipeline with Benoit Allaire's coach, right? As goalie coach.
Yep.
I mean, what he's been able to do with these goalies, and even that alone, I mean, you probably don't realize, but this is stuff that we don't really see on ice. Like, Hank probably has a lot of pointers and stuff to offer for the Rangers goalies, even having them as backup. Like, it sounds stupid, but, like, Hank's a legend, you know what I mean? Like, so
realistically, though, I can only see Georgiev going to 3 teams. 1, Toronto, because they need a second goalie.
Yeah,
2,
you need a goalie tandem if you're going to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, 2, Edmonton, if they're stupid enough to believe goalie's their only problem, even though Peter Strel is not GM anymore. And 3, Calgary. Because, I don't know, to me, their goaltending is arguably the worst out of, well, besides Edmonton, out of all the other Western Conference playoff teams right now. So those are the only 3 teams I can see him going to. I don't see them even entertaining offers from the East outside of Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, I could definitely see those 3 teams. But
I just realized I said 3 Western Conference playoff teams. Meant to.
But yeah, it's so we're actually not gonna know. I mean, we could talk about it all we want, but we're gonna actually find out soon enough. So I guess we'll see then. But
speaking of trade values and trades, let's end it on this. So the number 1 NHL player that was on Craig Costance's trade bait board, Chris Kreider, who has honestly picked it up a lot lately, and I highly believe he's going for a first plus. Whether that first pick is conditional, whether it's lottery protected or something of that nature where the team gets to decide between 2 years when that first pick is, but I highly believe he's getting a first plus.
Here's the thing about Kreider moving forward with this season as well. Not only has he, I mean, if anything, his draft value is going up because of the way he's played recently. He's been great. But also, let's not forget, Kreider fucking started his NHL career in the playoffs.
Yes.
With the Rangers. So you're talking about a guy that was able to come in first game ever in the NHL in the playoffs. I think teams are going to look at that. Like, this is a guy that's played in the playoffs, could be a top winger on a team. So I think I agree with you. I think the Rangers can get a first for Kreider. There's not a lot of wingers in the game that skate like Kreider, and that speed, especially in playoffs, is definitely essential. So I agree. I think Kreider can get us the first. So if they end up trading him, unless, like, we talked about this the last episode, like, unless Kreider were willing to sign, a team-friendly deal, but then it comes down to a question, then we might not be able to sign Strome, and, we might need centers down the line, and then also that comes into the question about Tony D on D, so it's a lot of stress. Good thing we're not the GM.
Yeah, seriously. I just want to point out that package that Hall went for earlier in the season. I mean, Kreider and Strome both have more goals, and I mean, not for as inconsistent as the Rangers are. That's saying something. And you got to remember, Hall's, I don't want to say his play has dropped off a cliff.
I mean, but he's stepped it up since he's been on Arizona. He's been actually pretty.
Yeah, but after he won the Hart in Jersey, that next season, it was So I honestly think Hall was overvalued.
He was also hurt. Let's not forget that as well. He was also injured, which he was. I mean, you can't even really talk about his last season because, I mean, he only played up until December 24th before he was out the rest of the year.
True. But I think, I mean, I knew he was getting a big return for a trade, but I thought his trade value was just a little overblown.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the times it's like, what are you doing now kind of thing when it comes to trades. It's not about what you did
I also at the same time, I also feel like that gets thrown out the window half the time.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, but, I mean, I agree. I mean, listen, as Rangers fans, I mean, we're always going to have a biased view on Kreider, I think.
Yeah, but here's why I thought Hall's trade value was overblown. One, he's played one full season in the league. He's only cracked 70 points twice. Well, third injury prone. I brought that up with my first point, basically. But an injury prone guy who's gotten 70 points once, and twice. Those 2 seasons.
Also on Edmonton though, and the Devils. So
I mean, he got 80 points on Edmonton one year.
True, but I'm just thinking. I mean, what I think about Hall is that it was the reason that he didn't pull as much is because of just circumstance. Like,
could be.
it's a circumstance in the fact that I'm pretty sure he was he unrestricted free agent at the end of the season with the Devils? I'm pretty sure he was, right?
Say that again.
Was Hall's an unrestricted? He would have been an unrestricted free agent this year.
He's still a pending unrestricted free
Yeah,
agent.
that's what I'm saying.
He's not extend. Oh my God, he's not talking contract extension with the Coyotes right now.
But what I'm saying is that it's circumstantial, and that could be a reason that affects the Rangers as well. Is that, listen, they know that everybody knew that Hall wasn't re-signing with the Devils.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to offer first rounder if you don't necessarily need him. Like, you can lowball these teams because they're desperate to get rid of him, because they'll basically take anything for him because they know he's not re-signing. Listen, the Islanders would have did the same shit with Tavares had they known he wasn't going to re-sign.
Yep.
So that in itself, that could be a good thing and a bad thing for the Rangers. I think it might end up costing them a first rounder at the end of the day, because listen, what are the Rangers going to do? If they get offered 2 second-round picks or something for Kreider, and then they get no other offer for Kreider, and then they don't take anything for Kreider, and then Kreider doesn't re-sign because they don't have the cap space, what are you going to do? That's what it comes down to. I feel like the other GMs have leverage over the Rangers in this situation.
Yeah, at the same time, Gordon doesn't seem like the guy where he's just going to give a player away.
No, I know. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying like that has to be in the back of his mind and the back of every other GM's mind moving forward with Kreider. It's like, we might be able to get him without giving the first away, you know? So I think that's my opinion on it. I just think that might end up costing, at the end of the day, circumstances what's going to end up costing possibly the Rangers for the first. I mean, I think Kreider can pull the first, personally.
Oh, I think he's easily worth a first-round pick.
Same.
Okay, well, not easily, but
he does a
he's
lot of
definitely
little
worth
things
a first-round pick.
that don't get picked up by stats. That's the thing about Kreider.
To me, it still amazes me how Mark Stone didn't bring a first back in that deal. That kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I honestly thought he should have and would have gotten a larger package than Hall.
Or what I could see happening is conditional first-round pick. That is also very possible. It seems like it's kind of a new like fucking trend that you see a lot. Like, okay, we'll trade you a conditional first-round pick if we make it past the second round of the playoffs. You know, so it's really a win-win for that team, I feel like, at the end of the day. Because if they do hit that goal, they hit a goal that they already set. And then on top of it, if they get to re-sign the guy too, then it also kind of wins in their favor. So
yeah, in my personal opinion, I think Kreider's getting either traded for a top prospect plus mid-round draft pick, or
I see it,
a first plus a conditional pick.
Or there's also the possibility that they decide not to trade Kreider.
If they go solely picks route. And hey, if Kreider wants a team-friendly deal on like a 4-year extension, I would keep him.
Same.
Because who else are we? Realistically, we're most likely not winning the draft lottery.
Yeah,
so
I would love to have Kreider. I would love to have Strome. I would love to have D'Angelo back on the team, but we'll see what happens.
Next year is going to be tricky.
Because we also have to sign Fost as well. So
here's my one last thing on him. So if it's a good deal, sure, but if you want to give him $3.5 million, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
no thanks.
Yeah.
That's just speculation on my end. I'm not paying a fourth liner $3.5 million.
Yeah, it's tough.
And
call.
you can say whatever you want that he's playing on the top line. That he shouldn't be. I don't care. He's a bottom 6 forward playing with Artemi Panarin because we have nobody else to put in that spot. And
at the
that's
end of
the truth.
Even if he's a bottom 6, but if he's still playing good with them, so be it. Honestly, that's just my opinion on it too. I mean, if it's working, it's working. Like he still grinds it out. Like,
yeah, but I look at it this way: a cup contender is going to look at him as a bottom 6 forward, not a top 6 forward.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true. I mean, listen, if a bottom 6, if he's going to be a bottom 6 forward on a playoff team, though, like that's still valuable for that team.
True,
because you saw it last year with Boston. Their fucking fourth line was basically almost carrying them in games where Bergeron and them weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Like all those guys, like Noel Acciari, was having a pretty good year in Florida. But guys like him, you know, Nordstrom, that whole fourth line in Boston was carrying them. So I wouldn't be shocked even to see a move for Fost moving forward this year too. We'll see, but
I'm gonna be very interested around trade deadline to see what happens. We're not that far off anymore.
I know
We're getting close. We got about a month and a half.
Moving forward though,
Little less.
Talking about Panarin, first All-Star appearance coming up as well. First in his career, shockingly.
That is pretty shocking. I don't know how the hell he didn't make it on Chicago.
Well, fucking Patrick Kane, dude, and fucking Patty Kane had a bunch of All-Stars at the time too. Keith and them, not Seabrook, but
not
even
anymore.
Jonathan Taves. No, not. I'm talking about when Panarin was on the team.
Oh man, but hey, good for him, man. He deserves it. Finally, guy's fucking having a monster season.
Yeah, it's just incredible. But Mike, first one in the new year, man.
Happy New Year, everyone. 2020, and we're not talking about vision.
We should make it a goal once a week or record. I think would be better.
My jokes are so awful. I love it. I you have to try to be this bad.
What do you think, Mike? Once a week we would try to record?
We try and do that anyway, but our schedules just don't match up.
Nah, we got to make the dedication once a week.
Okay.
We're shaking
no worse than every 2 weeks.
We're shaking on it right now. You can't see this, but we're shaking on it.
No worse than every 2 weeks. That I can agree to.
We're handshaking.
Right.
I don't know if anybody heard that, but it was a handshake. That's it. 2020, we're coming up, man.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been Backup Blue Shirts. Follow us on Twitter, @BackupBluePod. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Backup Blue Shirts Podcast, same as Podbean, where we post the initial podcast. My Twitter game's been getting a little better lately, not going to lie, because I've just been not caring and just tweeting whatever. Actually, been halfway decent tweets, in my personal opinion. Backup Blue Pod on Twitter. Give us that follow. We keep you updated on what we're doing. And let's go Rangers. Simply put. Thanks, everyone.